his finances and business dealings being conducted by the Manhattan District Attorney's Office. And an interesting note on that from Politico, quote, law enforcement officials in Palm Beach County, Florida, have actively prepared for the possibility that Manhattan DA Cy Vance could indict Trump while he's at Mar-a-Lago, according to two high-ranking county officials involved in planning sessions. Among the topics discussed in those meetings, how to handle the thorny extradition issues that could arise if an indictment moves forward. Let's bring into our conversation Andrew Weissman, former FBI general counsel and MSNBC legal analyst, and Tim O'Brien, Bloomberg opinion senior columnist. So, of course, my brain went to like a cartoon-like image of DeSantis like smuggling, blonde-headed Donald Trump out of Mar-a-Lago. But what does this mean, practically speaking, Andrew Weissman?
Well, it actually could get quite complicated, Nicole, because there is a Florida statute, many states have similar ones, that impose a duty on the governor to extradite. However, that statute doesn't require the governor to extradite. And it also does provide that the governor has the ability to investigate the extradition papers, which is a long way to say that if DeSantis wants to and Trump wants to delay this, there might be ways to do that. However, Florida would act at its peril, because one of the things that Florida wants is it wants to have its own extradition papers adhered to when they're seeking fugitives around the country to be extradited back to Florida for prosecution. So if they were to sort of play games with this, other states could, retaliate.
I mean, look, I don't have any of the legal expertise, but my political antenna has been watching DeSantis. And if he won't protect Floridians from COVID, there's no way he's going to turn over Donald Trump to the Manhattan DA. I wonder if you can speak to what that means for Donald Trump. Does he have to stay in Florida and risk being arrested if he leaves the state?
Absolutely. So this happens all the time in foreign countries, where essentially you have people who are sort of, imprisoned in a country. Here, Donald Trump would be imprisoned in Florida. If he went overseas, if he went to any other state, he would be subject to those laws. And so he would really have to stay in Florida. It certainly would be quite an interesting issue if he were to, for instance, this is way down the road, but if he were to try and run again for president, he would not be inhabiting the White House in that situation, because there would be papers seeking his extradition to New York.
That is an unbelievable state of affairs that, again, would be funny if it didn't just reek of so much dirty business. I want to stay on this investigation and turn to you, Tim O'Brien, on the reporting about Allen Weisselberg. I think this is the daughter-in-law. The Wall Street Journal is reporting that she told the Manhattan prosecutors that she and her husband, Barry, understood tuition payments to be part of her ex-husband's compensation package at the Trump organization where he worked. Former prosecutors not involved in the probe said the Manhattan District Attorney's Office could be examining whether the Weisselbergs evaded taxes with the tuition payment arrangement. I guess my question for you is, if we're down to examining an ex-daughter-in-law and the son's finances, where the tuition came from, the following the money appears extremely mature, extremely advanced. What's your sense of where that investigation is right now?
Well, I do think it's very advanced, and it's a multifaceted financial fraud investigation. I think it includes tax fraud, accounting fraud, and a number of other illegalities. The compensating for tuition and not reporting it to the IRS, compensating for free apartments and not reporting it to the IRS, that's tax fraud. And that is probably among the more minor things that I think they could possibly get Trump for. And I think it shows, if there's an indictment of Donald Trump, they can serve those papers on him wherever he is. I think it will be it's extraordinary that we're talking about extradition, because Andrew can speak to that process more directly than I can. But I think they can get an indictment to him wherever he is, and I don't think they're going to serve him with an indictment unless they believe they have a bulletproof case. The Manhattan District Attorney is not going to go forward with this epic, historically significant criminal indictment of a former president without believing it's bulletproof. And I think the fact that they've gone this far down the tree, that they're shaking Weisselberg family members is a very strong indicator of how hardcore they are about this. I think if it gets to the point of an extradition, it means they're seeking to arrest him and he's resisting arrest. And then it will become a carnival, undoubtedly, and tragicomic as everything is surrounding Trump, because I don't think he'll have any hesitation to try to encourage his supporters to surround Mar-a-Lago to keep the police at bay. Most white-collar criminals, if they're indicted, try to find a way to give themselves up out of the public eye. I don't expect Donald Trump to do that. I think that it's amazing if that happens, that Trump would believe that anyone locally would want to support him, because he is broadly loathed in Manhattan, where he once resided. He is broadly loathed in Bedminster, and he is broadly loathed in Palm Beach. So he's going to have to import people to run body blocks for him if that happens.
It's such an unbelievable sort of debasement of the office of the presidency. But I just want to follow up with you, Andrew, on something Tim O'Brien said. The subpoena is beyond Alan Weisselberg's ex-daughter-in-law and son. It was for the school. Let me read this from the Journal. New York prosecutors have subpoenaed a Manhattan private school as they seek the cooperation of the Trump Organization, CFO, in their investigation of Trump and his company. It's according to people familiar with the matter. The subpoena seeks information from Columbia Grammar and Prep, where grandchildren of Trump Organization CFO Alan Weisselberg are students. The People said from 2012 to 2019, more than $500,000 of the children's tuition was paid for with checks signed by Weisselberg or Trump. The two children's mother, Jennifer Weisselberg, told the Wall Street Journal. So what does that tell you about where the following of the money has taken prosecutors in New York?
My take on that reporting, assuming it's correct, is that this is not so much an investigation directly at Trump, but it's rather focused on getting Weisselberg to flip, because it would be hard to prove that even if these payments were made by Donald Trump himself, that he understood that that income was not going to be declared by the recipients of and the beneficiaries of those tuition payments. But on the other hand, it would be quite damning evidence if there was $500,000 in tuition payments made and not reported by the Weisselbergs. Mm-hmm. So to me, this shows that they're really still trying to get Weisselberg to flip. And that also, to me, would indicate, again, this is all guesswork, that they're still a ways away from Trump. Because if you're trying to get Weisselberg because you need an insider, this indicates to me that they're not there yet.
A very, very, very informed outsider, I have to add. Andrew Weiss and Tim O'Brien, thank you both for spending some time with us today reading the tea leaves. When we return, as we